So this is part 2 of investing in uranium mining companies or stay poor. I initially made the first video about a year and a half ago now, and all of the points I made then are still very valid today. I won't go over them. If you are really interested, you can check out part 1. I think it's a pretty good video outlining my initial thoughts on why I thought this was one of the best trades. Just taking the last 6 months, as we know, there's the Fed is hiking and there's fears of recession, etc. Everything has just kind of crashed, including uranium along with it, even though I believe the thesis is actually more strong now than it was when I initially made this video. Of course, prices aren't at those levels, at those depressed levels, but it's still, the thesis is still much stronger, and there's even more bullish news on uranium than it was back then. And the 3 key points that we're going to look at is, firstly, I think the Japanese restarts is pretty much is really amazing for the uranium sector, because yeah, we can think about China building out all of these new reactors, like I think they have like 128 to be built by 2030 or 2040 or something like that, but that's still in the future. They need to build those. But Japan restarting their nuclear reactors today has a huge impact today in the current status, because they need to fire those up within the next couple of months or year, I guess. And they need the supply of uranium today, not like 5 years into the future, but today. So that has a huge impact on the supply of uranium, and it's already a very tight market with spot, buying up the overhang. So it's actually, the Japanese restart is so damn bullish for uranium and the uranium supply. Second is, finally, the EU has labeled uranium as green. And why is this positive? Is basically because now investment firms and banks, they can start actually investing in uranium under the label of green, because before there was a lot of taxes or regulations around fossil fuels and not renewables basically. But now that uranium has been labeled as green, a ton of investment can pour into the uranium sector, which is absolutely amazing. And if we do see the Fed pivot, I think it's going to be explosive, really explosive. And the third point that I think is very bullish for uranium and kind of understated is actually the security of supply of national energy. With the war in Ukraine and the current circumstances around the world, I think it's becoming very clear and like the forefront of many people that you need to secure your own energy supplies. You can't be reliant on an external party to supply you with your energy. And the thing with uranium, I feel, is that once you actually get uranium inside your borders, it's there for you to use how you want to use it. It's secure. So if you have like 100 million uranium piled up and you have some nuclear reactors, that's secure baseload energy for your nation. So I think that's a very key aspect of uranium. Maybe it's underlooked, but okay. So let's now actually move on to the charts. I'm going to take 5. These aren't all of the companies I invested in, but I'm going to take 5 of the big companies I invested in when I made that video, and let's see how it's done over that period of time. Okay, so what I have here is just these are 6 of the main stocks I was holding at that time I made the uranium video. They are, you'll probably notice there's only one in Africa. I did change this as we went, like I added Bannerman and Lotus Resources later on, once I got a broker who allowed me to invest in Australian stocks. But yeah, at the time I made that video, I was pretty much all into the Canadian stock market, and these were my biggest holdings. So you had Energy Fuels, Cameco, NextGen, Fission, Global Atomic, and Denison. So let's see how they did. So I released my video around this period here. It was actually February the 7th, so maybe like up here, let's just call it there. And yeah, I was investing a little. My first initial investment was around December time, but then as it got more bullish, I kind of piled in. So since since I made that video, let's see how we did for all of these 5 stocks as a basket. The peak it reached was 100%, and yeah, that's a basket of them. So I was pretty happy with that over pretty much a year period of time. As you can see, it was pretty volatile. And at the end now, given that huge downturn, we are still up 45%. So to be honest, given how the market is, I'm pretty happy with that. You know, I expected this trade to be at least like 3 years plus, holding these stocks for 3 years plus. But given the general market downturn, it's looking, I feel like I've done pretty well with my portfolio. I'm still positive. I'm not negative. Luckily, I wasn't in cryptos. I had already sold my cryptos to basically get into this trade. I think the future looks bright. It's even getting more bullish. And some stocks I'm really looking into. One is Lotus Resources. This is a proven resource in Malawi. It was a past producing mine. The capex is really small, and I think this is just a perfect opportunity given all of the bullish points I raised earlier. If you take this from the top to the bottom right now, that's a 55% decline. If I was to buy here in what I consider still a bull market, yeah, I'm already making 100% just to get back to the 52-week high. That's it. And so I've actually been buying this at this. My initial range was here, so around 23. I moved it down now because I got an allocation, and if it comes into this range here, yeah, I think that's a great buying opportunity, especially if it hits 0.14, which would give it a 70% decline. Whoa, that would be amazing. That's like going into a supermarket and seeing your favorite item 70% off. So Lotus is one, and the other one I'm really keen on, and I wish I had gone in earlier, which I did not. I really like this company. I really like it just because of the CEO, really. And that is Bannerman. And I think Bannerman has a huge following. Of course, they have a huge resource, but it's low grade. But I really like the CEO, and he seems to be moving. I've been watching the Crux energy show with him. I think that's great. If you haven't signed up, you should sign up. I think that's great. But I think if it comes down into this range, a 70% decline in a bull market for Bannerman, which has a super huge following, I think it's unlikely to get here. It would be amazing to get here. If it gets to, it nearly got here to 0.15, that's I'm actually opening a position if it gets here. If it gets here, that's a 66% decline, and I would definitely be opening a position here.